The fact, and this question really that I wanted to ask you, is it racist to wonder about the potential skin colour of a baby before its birth? Is it racist to wonder about the potential skin colour of a baby before its birth? I'll give you my thoughts on that in a minute. But what about yours? 0345 6060 973. You can text me on 84850. Or you can ask Alexa to send a comment to LBC. I'll give you all of my views on that in just a few moments. But joining me first is Nels Abbey, social commentator and author of Think Like a White Man, a satirical book on being black in Western societies. He's also the founder of Uppity, the Intellectual Playground, a live debate series. A very good afternoon to you, Nels. Thank you very much for joining me.
Good afternoon, Ali.
What do you make of this allegation that we've heard before? It's not a new one, but obviously it's been getting a lot of traction this week because of Omid Scobie's new book about certain leading royal figures questioning the potential appearance of baby Archie before he was born.
Yeah, I think that, well, let's put it thematically like this. Look, I'm a dark-skinned black gentleman myself, or so I'll describe myself as chocolate complexion, dark chocolate complexion. All the nieces and nephews are children in my family or so, or all caramel complexion. Some of them are mixed race, some of them are not. But that's just the way it goes, or that's just the way it's happened. Nature has played out in our family. Never at any one given time did anybody discuss or speculate on the potential complexion of the children. Now, of our nieces and nephews and children in our family, it just never happened whatsoever. What arrived. But what is more interesting is it's in the context of who we're actually asking these questions. It's the royal family that we're speaking about over here, which, of course, is a family that's predicated upon elite social exclusion. So I don't think it would be controversial for you and I to say that the royal family might have a classism issue. So even when Kate Middleton married into the family or so, she was described as the first commoner to marry into the family. And I think there's nothing controversial to say about that. The royal family didn't just represent elite classism, it also represented the elite side as far as race was concerned too. That they were pretty much the pinnacle of this idea of whiteness. They were royal, quite literally a royal family, which then boils down to a situation. So when someone like Meghan Markle marries into the family, and if the family itself is looking at things such as, I don't know, how will this be perceived by the public and everything else or so, potentially having a black baby in the royal family, how would it be perceived? How will this go down? Will this potentially impact our standing? And it's an organisation that's trying to manage itself, but it's an organisation that's also predicated upon the idea of, again, elite whiteness, elite wealth, and everything else. So, of course, the concept of somebody asking within the royal family about the potential colour of a baby Archie or somebody else, for it to happen, yeah, I'm not surprised it happened.
But no,
would it be racist? I would probably say probably, yeah. I'd say yeah, almost certainly.
But why would it be racist, Nels? I mean, you talk about elite whiteness. Can you just unpack it a little bit for me? Because obviously, leading members of the royal family are principally all white. But why is there a feeling? I mean, I remember there was this whole talk about the balcony. I think I can't remember who actually said it now, but someone said that the balcony on the I think it was a coronation looked extremely white. Why do you think that this whiteness issue is such an important issue for you in particular?
Well, it's not just an important issue for me. It's more an important issue for them and for the nation.
Or for them.
Yeah,
Go on, tell me.
It's much more important to them. Also, I've never the slightest had a problem with anybody whatsoever. Yeah. But I think that the issue is because again, the royal family has been a critical part. Look, it's speaking in general terms of over the last 500-600 years and how Britain has cascaded itself around the world. The royal family has served as the almost the fairy tale velvet glove covering the iron fist of the British Empire. They were pitched and portrayed to people around the world that this is the pinnacle of manhood. They have a covenant with God. It's a divine family, and it's divine nature of Britishness and whiteness and everything that it became to symbolize wealth and whiteness. And what then happens is that so when a commoner marries into it, it punches the conception of this is a elite, potentially elite, uniquely special organization that only somebody who's of similar blood can marry into it. You can't be a commoner. That punches that. When somebody who's black or brown marries into it, it has the exact same impact. So I think that, look, the Meghan Markle, who's a very, very light-skinned complexioned lady or so, or lady, is married into a royal family. It didn't surprise me in the slightest bit that the firm was having some degree of panic about it.
Well, let me ask you this, Nels, though, because Sir Trevor Phillips, who obviously was former chair of the Commission for Racial Equality, has actually said there is nowhere in the entire world that a conversation like this doesn't take place. It's a mark of excitement, I suspect. Isn't it?
Nobody takes Trevor Phillips seriously on race. And I invite you to speak to any black person you know and ask them if they take Trevor Phillips seriously on race. Trevor Phillips is somebody who's in the business now. From our perspective, the perception of him is somebody who says what racists want to hear. And that's pretty much has served him well in his life and his career. And we wish him well. But no one takes it seriously. Nobody... Yeah. As I maintain, I come from a very, very large family. Mm-hmm. It's a very, very large family of black people. Mm-hmm. I come from a large network of black and brown people also. I've never heard of this concept where, look, we know what a black baby, if somebody gets with a white person and they're black or so, we have an idea of what that baby's, what their skin color is going to be. We are not going to ask that question. No, but also too, the white people too, for the most part, have an idea of what skin color that baby's going to be. So the idea of somebody's asking like, well, how dark is this child going to be or so, yes, there isn't. But to also do with the context is the credibility. Context is credibility here.
That's true.
It is not just anybody who is asking. It's about a family, an organisation that is predicated upon elite whiteness.
Okay, but then, Nels, to that point, if context matters, and I agree with you that context matters,
yep,
then should you not also look at the context and the history of the people who are alleged to have made this in terms of the context of all the other things they have done to help people of colour in the country?
Who are we speaking of?
Well, I think anyone can go and Google it. They're legal. They are leading royal figures who have spent a lot of time. They spend a lot of time working with people from all sorts of backgrounds through organisations like the Prince's Trust, for example, for a number of years. So does context not matter? I mean, if there are certain people out there, and I'm not talking about the royals here, but if there are certain people who have always been historically racist and they make a comment like that, it would be a very different context, in my view, wouldn't it, to someone who spent their entire life trying to actually reach across all racial divides and support people and help people and represent people of all different colours and backgrounds in this country.
I appreciate the work that's done on the Prince's Trust, and I do appreciate King Charles's work on his statement on the Rwanda plan, which I perceive to be completely racist. But I don't think that the idea in which the royal family has been particularly uniquely greatly helpful to black and brown people on a large scale is something that I recognise by any means whatsoever. In fact, the royal family has been, when you're looking at the debasement and denigration of Africans in particular, no organisation has benefited on a global scale in the last few hundred years than the royal family. A lot of their wealth, a lot of their prestige come for that. Okay. But the key thing about it is this, the more broader thing about it is this, is that, so when somebody like Meghan Markle comes along, it joins the family, falls in love with Prince Harry, and then somebody calls Prince Harry to a corner, doesn't call Meghan Markle, calls Prince Harry to a corner and asks him about what could this baby potentially look like, and another person does it too. There's a reason for it, and the reason for it is because potentially Prince Harry having a baby with Meghan Markle could potentially puncture the perception of the royal family as an exclusively white family. Just as Prince William marrying
Kate Middleton did exactly the same thing when he married a commoner.
Yeah, absolutely.
No,
the difference with it is that commoner or not commoner, so you can potentially hide a person being a commoner, so no one sees a commoner when you put.
Well, everyone knows that she's not blue-blooded, but everyone knows that she's not.
But if you put a crown on the head of a commoner, it's very, very different from a black person coming along with a black person coming along pretty much as part of royalty as far as England is concerned. And I think that, to have this conversation is that to have the fact that these questions were asked, and remember, they were not just asked about, as Meghan Markle and Prince Harry said, they were not just asked in the context, I wonder what colour the baby would be. It was asked as a matter of concern, such as, but Nels,
we weren't there. And the allegations have been refuted. We don't know if the palace is going to take take legal action. And as the late Queen, may she rest in peace, said, recollections may vary. I thought that was a class act. I mean, look, Boris Johnson has said that
you've got some very bad references here, Ali. Boris Johnson, Trevor Phillips. You've got to do better than that.
But Nels, let me just pick you up on Trevor Phillips, right? Because just on that, I mean, you denigrate him, but he is someone who is black himself. Do you believe that all black people need to have a universal view of the world on every single point?
Of course not. I think all black people should be anti-racist. Yeah, I think all people should be anti-racist. I think
he's the former chair of the Commission for Racial Equality. In what way is Trevor Phillips racist?
The Trevor Phillips the Trevor Phillips. So I'm in my 40s now. Trevor Phillips of my age right now would say the exact same things about Trevor Phillips of his age right now. So the Trevor Phillips of the early 90s, late 80s, early 80s or so, 70s would condemn him with as much gusto. Would speak of him with as much gusto which I speak of him too right now. It's not unique a perspective.
Okay, let me just put this Boris Johnson point to you. He's saying this is yet another example of the process by which ordinary human patterns of thought and behaviour are denounced, demonised and deleted from the canon of acceptability. So it's basically a big fuss about nothing, according to Boris.
No. I think that again. So Boris Johnson is on racial issues is a highly suspect person. Also, he has his track record speak for itself. But nevertheless, right. Let's take Boris Johnson at face value in this situation. Let's assume that Boris Johnson is being serious, which he often is not. The concept in which, again, its context is credibility. The idea that there would be no whispers, or there were no whispers about Meghan Markle or the race of the potential children or so across the elite part of Britain is something that is just unrealistic. It's something that we all know happened. I saw it at the most highest levels of Britain myself personally.
Well, Nels, you made the point very, very powerfully, and I appreciate you coming on. Thanks a lot. That was Nels Abbey, social commentator and author of Think Like a White Man, giving me his perspective on this baby Archie skin colour row or racism row. Now, let me give you my view on this.